I'm Jason Goliath.
And I'm Nicholas Goliath.
And this is a new podcast called The Happiness Economy, where we try and unpack, figure out, investigate, interrogate, I think holistically understand what is happiness even.
What is it to you? What is it to me? Is it different? Is it the same? What do you do to chase your happiness? Just chase it. We want to chat to people who we believe have found their happiness or are on the way to finding their happiness and find out what it is that makes them happy.
So, if you're happy, we're happy. The Happiness Economy with Nicholas and Jason Goliath. Tell her what you must. So, I know you've got a bio.
Yeah.
I know that you've been asked in interviews, hey, please introduce yourself.
Yeah.
But over the last couple of years, the way I identify to myself has changed in terms of who I see myself as. I can be honest and say, for a long time, I saw myself as a victim of an alcoholic father and a failed business.
Sure.
I do not identify as that anymore. There is zero victim in the way I identify at the moment. So, to yourself, who do you identify as?
Well,
How do you identify?
How do I identify?
Yeah. Who are you to you?
To myself, I'm Gcobani Bobo. Gaba. I'm from the Gaba clan.
Mm-hmm.
Those, why I always go to my clan.
Yeah.
Is because, you look at the Bible and you think about our forefathers, the Moseses, the Abrams. My forefathers are the ones that I'm from, right? I'm from their seeds. I'm from, like my dad used to always say, you're a boy from my sack.
Yeah.
And he was a boy from his father's
Yes.
sack. So guys like Sibilisi are my guys. That is my great-grandfather. Nzimbakulu is my guy, my great-grandfather. So those are the guys that give me the energy that I have. How I identify myself. I'm a young South African who is probably the one person who's the most optimistic about everything that I get into. I love a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I love being challenged. And at the same time, being in a space where I'm most vulnerable, because in that way I can learn and grow, and then I won't have that fear again. So I'm the kind of person who's just, how I look at myself. I mean, I've never let sports, sort of rugby, define who I was, because I did it because it sounds now like as if I'm going to say something. It was easy for me because it's something I enjoy. It was easy for me because I loved playing.
Yeah.
And it was not
Rugby,
something.
it was your favorite
It
thing.
was my favorite thing. So if someone said, "Are we going to pay you for it?" I was like, "Let's go."
Come on.
But it was not going to make me who I am, because at the end I knew that it was just on the field, right? And that's what I enjoyed. Yes, I've got to spaces now because of that space, to where now I can look at myself and be proud of what I did. But what I learned from it is the core values of the game, which helped me to sort of navigate this world that we live in. And those are 5 core values that rugby brings. It's respect, it's discipline, it's enjoyment, it's camaraderie, and at the end, it's integrity. And that's where I base myself from.
Dang. Dang. This came to drop buzz. I wish there was something you
I
could
feel like
drop.
we should end right here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Have your
That,
5 bullets.
Yeah, take
Good
5
luck.
pills. And, you're gonna be fine. But that is so special. You are the first person I've met that has played at the level of the game that you've played at, and had the consciousness to not make that your identity. Because I think post-fame depression, let's name a thing. I don't think that's a thing.
It is.
But I think it should be.
It should be.
Post-fame depression is a major thing. I read a book, listened to a book. Must be more honest.
I was going to raise my hand.
No, I listened
So
to a
read.
book. I listened to a book called The Leader with No Title. And the book speaks about, essentially, if I summarize the book speaks about the fact that titles in business, titles in sports teams, titles are necessary, unfortunately, because they assign responsibility and get things done. But what happens is there's this aspirational thing that when you're growing up, you want to be the MD, you want to be the CEO, you want to be the marketing director, sales director, whatever your thing is, right? You want to be the director of that thing. Then that title gets given to you by an entity. That entity gives you a title. You then fall into the trap of making that title your identity. And that same entity can, at the snap of a finger, take that title away from you. Then now, who do you identify as? Because you've left titling yourself to somebody else. Then the book says, before you want to be the CEO of a big corporation, first be the CEO of you. So like a CEO's job is to make sure the business runs as efficiently as possible, makes as much profit as possible, production is as impeccable as possible, health of the business is as healthy as possible, the business is able to, from a capacity point of view, do as much as possible. That's the CEO's job. Then most people can't even be the CEO of themselves. But you want to be the... So also, when you're the CEO of you're not looking for the validation from somebody else, so that it can't be taken away.
Yes.
How did you do that, bruh? Because that's not a normal. That's not a normal thing.
So for myself, when I grew up, I grew up by myself in a way. Not that I grew up by myself, but like when I was 9 months, I grew up with my grandparents.
Yeah.
So I've never had that inclination of having like that family, mother and father around. And then when I got to finally be at my family, I got to this situation and I was like, oh wow, we kind of well off here. And it even made me more sort of like seclude myself in a way, because I was like, this is not mine. Because I've never been about this. The only thing I've known all my life was not this. So I mean, it's sad because for my siblings, it was like, oh, yeah, we've made it. So this is where we're going to go. So for me, I was like, I'm trying to find myself. So constant trying to find myself became Rasta because why? Because Rastafarianism is Africanism, right? And that's something that I could identify with it when it came to religion. Yes, my grandparents were Methodist, priest and a priestess, so they were together. So I learned a lot about God and God-fearing things and love and understanding what compassion is and. So by doing that, that sort of got me away from a situation of sitting back and thinking to myself, okay, fine. Why did I want to play rugby? I wanted to play rugby because it was a hierarchy issue in the boys' school. Right? If you're playing 14As, I mean, you're going to get away. You're going to have a few privileges. So I was like, oh, and then it gets better. The more you get up and 15As, then your first team, then I can. So I played in, now they call it grade 10, standard 8. So I played first team. So I had the same privileges as a matric.
As a matric from standard 8. What
right. So for me, I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting away with things, right? So I can get away with this stuff. So it never became something like, I always say to people, I never dreamt of being a Springbok, but I dreamt about playing at Ellis Park because I wanted to play football. I thought to myself, I'm going to be the biggest soccer star. I want to be a striker. I'm going to play for Kaiser Chiefs at Alice Park.
You got a striker hairstyle also, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm out here trying to
feel like
not
a striker's feet, though. I feel like
No, I do. That's one thing. I'm ambidextrous.
Oh, yeah?
I can kick with both feet.
Come on.
And I got the skills, so now I'm fine with it. I enjoy sports, like I said. And I've been blessed, and that probably comes from one of my forefathers. And so then I was like, it got to a stage where now I'm in matric, rugby is becoming professional. Everyone is asking me, so what you going to do? So one day I was in class and this biology teacher, she comes at me, yeah, Mr. Bobo, you never care anyway. You always think that rugby's going to look after you. So I was like, oh, wait, so you just think I'm a rugby player? Okay, wait, let's figure this thing out. I brought it back to myself. I was like, okay, let me stop. I don't want to know. I don't want to know about this thing. I mean, there was a time that they thought that I went missing and they went to go look for me. I stayed in the mountains as a sackcloth rasta in Cape Town. I was selling buchu tea and I was walking up.
How old are you at
in
this
Zion.
point?
So I'm 18, 60. And this is when I'm like playing ace of schools. It's in the 19s. And I decided for 6 months, I was staying up in the caves in Musenberg. Some beautiful places you find out there. Mornings, having like waterfall washes and got away. I wanted to know who am I with out this thing of people calling me my name, Gcobani Bobo. Like, you know when someone calls you with the full name.
Yeah.
And
You know.
You're sitting back going like, oh, you're not paying me though.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the first sort of thing of like taking off that shell.
Yes.
Understanding. So by the time I came down, I remember the day I came down to South African Rugby Union offices back then. Funny enough, Rian Obolos was the CEO, and he's a man who's really looked out for me.
Yeah.
So he comes in, I come in, I'm wearing the old the army kit. So
Yeah.
it's brown, and I'm barefooted. My dreads, I look like a tree. I mean, these things were like just coming down. It looked like as if I was rooted. And I could
So
see.
you look like you just come
I
from a
looked
cave.
like, I was straight
Yeah.
from the mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to put it in more sort of like colloquial language back in Cape Town, I was a bechi.
Yeah,
to them,
I didn't
right?
want to say it.
Just
Now
go
that
there.
you've
Let's
said
go
it.
there.
Rasta
Let's
Perchi.
go there.
Yeah.
Let's go there. So I come in, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to play. So they're like, what do you mean? So, and then funny enough, Jake gives me $50. He says, go cut your hair. And I mean, I speak to him now and then. He says, I thought you were going to take that 50 and go.
That's what Berries do.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I know why I was playing rugby. I knew rugby was going to be my survival. I knew rugby
Yeah.
was going to be my education. I knew rugby was going to give me my first house. I knew rugby was going to give me a chance to navigate this life. So by the time I came down, it was never about...
Yeah,
wait,
say, I'm
so my
fascinated.
question is, what was it that was in you, or what is it that you were taught that gave you the awareness that you need to step away? Because especially as a high school kid,
Yeah.
we don't have that.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
in-
That's
I
a
mean,
very different
intelligence.
response.
Yeah, for me, like I said, like I grew up a lot by myself with my grandparents, so I had a lot of time by myself.
Yeah.
A lot of time to work on my imagination. I mean, I used to get the backyard of my grandma's place and I just play, and I had bricks and stones. I used to make cities, and I used to travel, and I used to get into this. So most of the time, the conversations I used to have in my head used to always come the ones that protect me, because I didn't really know who was supposed to protect me.
Yeah.
Because my parents are not
Yes.
so physically there at that
Yes.
time, right? So I had to be the guy. So my whole
Looking out
thing
for
was,
yourself.
whatever decision I make, am I willing to live with consequences, which is what I still do to today.
Amen.
And that for me was like, am I willing to live with those consequences, even if I make a bad decision? Am I willing to live with them? Can I take that in the chin and say, okay, fine, I messed
That
up,
was
but
me.
then
Yeah.
can we carry on, because I'm growing? I'm not making mistakes. I'm making decisions that are
Progress.
not sort of getting me to where I want to go. So, okay, that didn't work. Let's go. So I had that, I guess, self-conscious of understanding who I am and what I wanted out in
What a
my
gift.
life.
Beautiful thing.
And I've always been, in a way, have the intuition of having first to sit back and just watch and think. And then selfishly to say, me first. Am I happy? Is this what I want? If it's not what I want, I'm out.
That's the easiest way to love people. You love people so much more.
Yeah.
It's because it sounds weird. It sounds selfish as fuck. But if
Yeah.
you go,
I must be selfish.
Yes.
Because you too will be, let's say we get into a relationship, if there's no selfish interest in that relationship, I mean, what the hell are you
No.
going into for?
No, what am I here for? What did you find in the cave? And at what point did you go, I've figured it out, I'm ready to go back down?
So what I got there, through all the upping and downing and just going to the city and seeing life in a different way. I mean, Rastas would call it Babylon life, living in the city. Knowing that, okay, fine, you have to pay bonds, you have to do this, there's rentals, there's responsibilities.
Adulting.
You know, proper adulting. And I was like, wait, what gifts do I have? How can I survive? How can I make... Because I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want to be a bechi. I know my parents maybe sometimes they used a forceful hand. The only thing they wanted me was to be successful.
Yeah.
So how do I make myself successful, not just for them, but for myself? Because success will be determined by me, not by them. And I sat back, and then I was walking past some shop, and I saw, back in the day, Super 12 Rugby advert. And it was Wild Boys, blah, 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 blah. And they were showing the players who were playing that season. And I saw John Smith. I saw Jaco van der Westhuizen, and they signed for the Sharks. I'm like, we're aces schools together. I was roommates with John. Then I was like, I don't want to be that 35-year-old who's sitting at the pub saying that I played with those guys. No, I played with those guys, and no one believes you.
Oh, worse.
And then it's like, that guy that sits there, that drinks at the time, and sits at the pub, and he says he used to play. Yeah, right.
The bear. Do that thing behind your back. They roll their eyes and do
it's
that
like,
thing.
now he's gonna tell us what he did in Argentina the other time. So I was like, nah, I don't want to be that guy. I want to see the story through. And I walked down, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get there. I might have a lot of people who wanna say, no, you've wasted opportunity. Maybe you're too late. I was like, I couldn't care. I'm doing it.
I'm coming.
They'll say no.
Yeah, of course.
The only thing they can say is no. So what am I? I've got nothing to lose, because what do I have here? I mean, it became to that situation where I sort of put it together like, I feel sometimes you have to lose it all to gain more.
There is losing it all is the MSG of life. MSG, its only job is to make things taste even nicer than they are.
Yeah.
Once you've lost it all, there's things that you didn't think wouldn't be delicious are delicious.
Exactly.
Delicious.
Exactly. So I literally lost everything. Like my clothes. It's funny. It's like sometimes people be like, yeah, so where's your school jersey or this? And it was funny sometimes because I took my whole bags and I packed all these like big, like under 19 Springbok bags and with all my kit and all my gear. Yeah. And I left it in Steenberg in the bush. So another day I rock up. It was funny because I remember because I've never been that sentimental about like the kit.
Yeah.
Right. For me, it was like, if I can send it home, best thing.
Yeah.
So that my folks can wear it, whatever.
But for you, you've got the
For
experience.
me, I'm like, everything, memories keeping in my head. And then the other time, I'm at the train station in Rondebosch, and some dude rocks up wearing this number 19 jersey, Ace of Schools jersey. And this dude was Louis Sokola. But I knew Loy. So it was like, I'm like, Loy, oh, okay. He's like, no, Nzinga gave me this. I'm like, no, but it's all good. I'm fine with it.
You got it.
I don't care.
I know where you got it.
I know where I left it. I've seen that jersey before. But, it's those
amazing
kind of things. And I was just sitting back and I was thinking to myself, if you hold yourself to all of these sort of like value and material things and then they take them away, who are you again? You know what I mean? So why should I be so caught up in that? Because, hey, I'm bare.
Oof. But they write books about people like you.
Yeah. Like, I wish I had more questions. I'm just so intrigued by the story.
I have a number. I have a number of questions. I'm going to segue, but then we'll come back.
Yeah.
You are a very unique man. And I say that, I articulate that very specifically. So, I hear from women who are friends with your wife, what a great man you are. And in today's time,
that's tough. Men are trash.
Yay!
That's what they say, right?
Yay!
That's what they will say.
Is that a sentence that... So David Kibuka, my great mentor, once said to me, life is simple. Imagine the man you want to be and then just be that man as much as you can, more and more every day.
Yeah.
So when I hear you're a great man, is it something that you think about, or are you just a great man because you're a culmination of all these experiences? Or is it something that you put effort into every day?
I think it's not really. It's like I'm the kind of person who tries to create time and space for myself. Again, I'm self-invested.
Yes.
So what I do, just something that I always say to everyone. I say, do you want to be happy or do you want to start fights? Right? That's the first one. If you're married or you're with
No,
someone
they turn
in a
you two
relationship.
married men hard.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like that thing. It's like, do you want to be right or you want to be happy?
Oof. It's always a hard.
It's a tough one, right?
Mm.
Because sometimes you want to be right.
Yeah. But then it's like, do you want to use all your credits in one little stupid argument?
Yeah.
So like, so it's not like taking losses, because it's like, okay, that was nothing to me.
But you're
it
way
meant
up
a lot
there.
to someone else, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what I try and do is put someone else in their position so that they can understand. And yes, it doesn't mean that I don't voice my disagreements. It's just that I find ways where I'm not as heated up about it, where I can get that across,
Yeah.
and find my middle ground and say, this is why my reaction is like this to this. It came from me trying to be, my grandparents were amazing. Like I said, I was shown love. I was taught how to be a human being. I was taught how to value people. I was taught to have compassion. And my grandfather was, he was an orator. The man was great. His sermons were amazing. But what I've always found with him, he was never into any scuffles, fights, or even having words with my grandma. Ever. Like back in the days, you were always put away. But what I saw from him was how he carried himself, the integrity that he brought along with him. And that man was my hero. Like my father and my mom, even if there was fights, or it was we never had the previous situation of knowing that there is.
Yeah.
Because of how they sort of protected us from that. Right. So what I've always known, I've saw them serve.
Yes.
I saw them serve people.
Oof.
I saw them serve my mom. I saw them do things that I know that personally he doesn't really like doing it, but he'll do it because of her.
You have to be selfish and be in service.
You have to serve people. It's a much. I'm terrible at taking compliments, receiving gifts, and right. Worst person on trying to surprise people, or I can't. Yeah. I just can't. It's just like I'm like, hey man, I bought you this thing and it's a surprise.
I know your birthday
Just
is
be
only 2
surprised.
months away.
Just be surprised
Just be
right
surprised,
now.
okay?
Just be surprised. You know?
That's how I got engaged.
Just be surprised.
Was also I just went to go look at rings. I didn't even have a plan. I was just going to see what the price range was, if I could afford. Then I saw the ring. I was like, hey, this is the perfect ring. I was like, the right price. I got the budget. Buy the ring. I'm like, cool. Now I must plan when we're gonna do the thing, how it's gonna
How you
work.
gonna do
I drove from there. My bro was with Robin, her best friend.
Yeah.
They were at Cresta Center, Cresta Mall.
Yeah.
I went. They were sitting in the car having a cigarette, and I came, met them there, jumped in the back of the car, and we were chatting. And this ring just started.
It was burning a hole.
Burning in my
started
pocket.
ringing.
I
It
proposed.
started ringing.
I proposed on the concrete floor in the parking at Cresta Mall, my friend.
That's
Because
class.
I couldn't. Yeah.
That's class.
I told her, because we were having a conversation, and I said, actually, you're just a really cuck girlfriend. Like, I can't do this. I can't be with a girlfriend like you. I was like, this. And she started taking offense. And I went down. I had stones here on my knees, but shorts on. And I was like, you're a terrible girlfriend.
Nick, I know.
But you'll be a much better one. And because I was going to do the whole
Great
thing,
line, though.
restaurant.
Yeah, no, you
and
all over
whatever.
it.
Great line.
But then I was just like, it must come now. And I'm the same with gifts, with anything. I can't.
The fact that you went to the jewelry store in shorts already. 'Cause now I'm just putting the day together. You know what I mean? The fact that you were your knees were out when you chose the ring. I'm so invested. And then,
Because I didn't care from then what people thought about me. It's better if they think I can't afford, then they don't come bother me.
I can
Can we
also
help
never
you,
look at
sir?
Cresta the same ever. I can never look at Cresta the same ever.
I didn't buy it at Cresta, but in the park.
No.
Your
But
car
you
was
proposed
stolen,
it.
sure.
You
Yeah.
proposed it, Cresta. That's what I'm saying. So, Bobs, are you happy?
Am I happy? Oh, I am. I won't lie, I am. there's things that make me happy. What makes me happy is waking up every day. I'm happy about
Especially nowadays.
that. Oh,
Especially. I
I'm
won't
just
lie.
I wake up like I sometimes even in my sleep, because I was listening to hip hop growing
Yeah.
up in the 90s. Just say sleep is a cousin of death. I'm like, I want to know this guy too well.
One eye open.
I don't want to know this guy too well. I don't want to know this guy too well. And I've got this thing, like I've always had these sort of like anxieties of like I'm missing out on something if I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
Especially at night. I don't know. I'm just like maybe if I turn on the TV I'll see something amazing. And it happened before. Like I remember I turned on the TV and I saw the 9/11 and I was thinking to myself, oh, it's gonna be a great movie. On CNN.
That is.
And
I
I'm like, oh, I'm watching this.
shit.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I remember
Movies
watching
live?
it. Yeah, I was at Nicholas and his family were away on holiday. I was house sitting their house, and my mom phoned me from work
Yeah,
to say put on the TV,
sure.
and it was a damn movie,
was
and I
like-
put on just before the second plane hit.
Yeah.
A damn movie.
So lots of things sort of happen. So just waking up, I'm so happy. My wife makes me happy because she's someone who's seen this person. I mean, I've been through the most, right? Trying to
Yeah.
to balance just retiring, losing one of your mentors. Like I lost my father. I retired at 2011. 2012, I lost my father. And it's like one of those things you sit back and you think to yourself, I've got questions I need to ask someone. How do we?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's not here. And so it was a very difficult time. So I went through the most. I drank a lot. And I was just like, like with this don't care attitude of like, no, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
She's like, I can find a way. And my wife sort of brought me back, and she's like, I think you undervalue yourself in what you have and what you're here to do. And for me, it was important to be with a partner, someone who was walking besides me,
Yes.
not in front or behind.
Yes.
Besides me, so that we can help each other. Help each other's backs. Sometimes someone has to be in the lead, someone has to be at the back. So you play your role. I think me being in a sporting and a team environment helped me to understand what the relationship that I have with my wife and what it is about. And a friend, someone I can spend time with, which I don't. I mean, that's all I do. And then my kids, I mean, they gave me joy. My daughter, Honor, just every day she wakes up, it's like in the last 2 months she found out I'm a dad, because everything is daddy, 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 no matter what. And then like watching my boy and thinking about how my relationship was with my father, right? And it's just seeing him growing and to express himself. Those things want me to live longer. So that makes me happy, because that gives me energy, gives me a vibe.
Purpose.
And then, I'm lucky enough to have started a game that I didn't really thought that I was going to go as far, or didn't take it for anything.
Yeah.
And I'm still working in the game. I've got companies that sort of help to encourage and build skills with Shuttleball. And that's my give back. It's I wrote a program. I did this whole skills program, and that gives me so much joy, because I look at what people are offering out there, especially at the schools and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names, but like, and I'm like, these people are not doing the right thing by the kids. It's like the other time I was watching a female rugby sevens varsity cup, and then they made a clip of this girl who was drop kicking and she missed the ball.
Yeah.
And it was a meme and it was a laugh. And for me, I was more like, I'm so embarrassed for that coach, because he's the one who let that child stand out there in public and not taught her.
Yeah.
And he forgot his job there. For me, that person supposed to be the one who was ridiculed.
He's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is the
Yeah.
one.
The meme should be about the
It's
coach.
about the coach.
Yeah.
Like, look at the coach.
Mm.
How can you do that? Even if he was doing it in spite, because he knew that she couldn't kick. So that's me caring about this game that is giving me so much, and I wanted to make sure that I can create something to give back, because that is the important bit. And then another thing that really gets me going, I'm passionate about female sports after seeing my daughter being born, being a premature baby, and being the strongest 2-year-old I've ever met. and she is like, she's wild, right? And she's strong. And I'm saying to myself, what if she wanted to pursue sports?
Yeah.
Something that is giving me so much
Yeah.
joy. How does it look for her?
Yeah.
What is
Completely
how
different
does
picture.
this career look for her? So my wife and I started off Honor and Grace, which is this is our passionate project. This is the project that I know that female sports is at its infancy. No one really cares about it in that way. And I'm like, let's make sure that we can create platforms and scenarios by the time that my daughter ever wants to start playing sports, it be a norm.
I feel like they should. If there's an audience, an audience here, you'd have been getting. I love the fact that you come across like you've got it all figured out, and also come across like, man, it's about the journey and being open to figuring it out, and it's never gonna be figured out.
But you can add your piece.
Yes,
to
but I
make
think I think figuring it out is figuring out that you're never going to figure it out. Just be present.
Be comfortable with that.
Yes,
Right.
be vulnerable. Be open to figuring it out.
Yeah, and I take small wins. Highly love small wins.
Same.
Because those small wins is just, for me, it's those stepping stones. It's that building that foundation. It's that building that house, right? Those small wins, I make big things for them, because by the time the big win comes, I'm already on to the next one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? This,
Yeah.
I've been
You
building
haven't
this
just
win.
been focusing
Yeah,
on
I've been building it.
I
reaching
think
the
that's
big
a
deal.
marker that books on success don't touch on, and if they do, it's not articulated like that. When you are waiting for the one big win, when you get what you think is a win, there's an automation in your brain that wants to stop and celebrate
Yeah.
and stop working.
Yeah.
And we are in a time now where if you stop, you die.
Yeah.
Where if you
Yes.
stop, you die. So yes, we celebrate, we toast, we acknowledge,
yeah.
we
Yeah,
acknowledge.
you take it in.
We-
It's part of it's a small win now.
But you're so busy.
It's
that
a small win now.
100%.
Yes.
It's no longer the.
Yeah.
It's a small.
Because now we're not
I've been-
taking a month off because we've
Yeah,
got this.
no.
No. Tomorrow we're back on.
Can we work?
Thank you.
Can we work?
Can we work? Tomorrow we are back on.
So what, I want to know, and I ask all the parents, what
Sure.
are you teaching your kids about happiness? Knowing that we come from a space where it wasn't taught to us.
Yeah.
Wasn't spoken about, yeah.
It wasn't a thing that we were advised. We were taught to work hard. We were taught to be respectful. We were taught all these things. But nobody ever said, be happy, or taught you to be happy.
I don't think it's mostly teaching them about happiness. It's trying to give them a basic place and a platform of what things are like. I don't try to hide things away from a kid. I know the missus probably won't be happy about this, but I'll share it. She was going through the toughest times, and she was having a breakdown. And I'm sitting at home, and she calls me at the office, and I say to myself, okay, I can come to you and be consoling and comfort, but this is not about just you and I. These kids are involved. Took the kids with me to the office, and they saw their mother being vulnerable, crying, and them being there to protect her, to give her strength, and for us to understand that, yes, it is the four of us in this thing, no matter whoever does, right? So the happiness to me is the happiness of always understanding that these four people, they mean the most to you. Try to do as much to make sure that these four people are comforted when they're in trouble. When you're happy, we'll celebrate with you.
Yes.
When you need to be disciplined, we'll discipline all of us if it
When you're
has
sad,
to be.
we'll sit with you and cry.
We'll sit with you and cry, because we are here. We're not here for the good times.
Yeah.
We're here.
And all of these
For this
emotions
time.
are valid. And
So that to me is how I teach my kids happiness.
it's the foundation.
I just want to jump in there and say it's beautiful, because I don't know how to tell the world that there's no such thing as only being happy.
Yeah.
You are happy as a wide angle view, because even through the crying times you weren't alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and I think that is so beautiful to also show them that this is how hard life
It
is.
Yeah.
Life is so hard that
Yes.
sometimes.
So when they're happy, they understand that I don't want to see my mom go through that again.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, because if you don't show that to them, they will never tell.
No.
I have a misunderstanding.
And they'll never be
perception.
comfortable
And-
being that.
And it's that thing like when my dad passed away, I was like, my hero's gone. You know, and you know, my boy is very tricky nowadays, and he will say things like, "Daddy, can you do this, 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 and the third?" And I'm like, "No, I can't do it." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, Daddy, it's okay." You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh no, but he really dearly means it.
Yeah.
With like, no, I'm
Yeah.
fine, I'm over what. Yeah,
Cool.
it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, for me, that comforts me because then it means I can say no to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
he
And
would
he can understand.
You know
'Cause
what I
that's
mean?
the thing that I think
That
like,
you
for
will
me,
understand.
Yeah. As kids, I think we didn't understand because whenever I got shouted at, I knew I did something wrong,
But like,
but I couldn't
why are you
understand the
coming in so
level of
hard?
anger
Yeah.
versus what I did, and there was never that like proper
and
explanation.
that's proper like work. It's
Yeah.
been burning in their heads, and they're like,
No.
and you are doing this.
Exactly. So now I also love the explanation of things you messed up here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna discipline you,
Yeah.
but I love you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're not gonna do this again.
No.
And it's okay. And we're gonna
And this
move
is
on.
why we're doing this.
Yes.
Because you know, it's trying to show them that sometimes you don't have to go through the experiences to experience it.
Mm.
Like I'm that kind of person. I have to do stuff to know.
You have
that
to
it's
fall in
wrong.
the hole.
I have to fall
You
in
don't
the
take
hole.
people's word.
like, you know,
Hey, there's a hole there. Whatever.
Ah, man, I
I've
can
jumped over
survive
holes
that thing.
before.
I've jumped out.
I've
you
slept
know.
in caves.
You know, I've slept in caves. You know, and so that to me is like, yeah, let's get involved. Let's show the whole reel. It's not supposed to be just one TikTok. It must be the whole
Let's show
reel.
the whole reel.
Don't show them social
Let's
media.
show the whole reel.
Because social media is just the
Yeah.
snapshot of the happiness.
Yeah, let's take the whole reel. Let's see about
I
that.
love that.
I could chat to you. I could chat to you forever, brah. Your energy is and has always been. You are a light, and you are important, and we need you. So, thank you so much for taking time.
Oh,
I appreciate this more than you'll ever understand. We wrap up with the Goliath Happiness Index, and essentially we've got three main pillars that, three main questions, and two of them are, we believe, some of the main pillars of this recipe of happiness that we are constantly in the pursuit of. We think the foundation is acceptance, accepting you, accepting your situation, accepting the world, just acceptance in general. We'd like to rate it 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 being great. The second one is gratitude, being able to exist in a space of gratitude, and how are you from a gratitude perspective, 1 to 5. And the last one is optimism. When you
Yeah.
think about the Bobs of tomorrow,
yeah.
how optimistic are you? So number 1, acceptance, 1 to 5.
Acceptance for me is 5. It's I first had to accept my toes, you know. That was the thing.
It's a true thing.
It was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there was
A rugby toe.
beginning of like. I mean, I used to laugh because I always shared rooms with Ashwin Willemse.
Yeah.
And Ash.
Who has worse feet between the two of you?
So no, he's got like this perfect.
Oh,
things, right?
pristine toes.
You know, he's that kind of guy who wears, like Australians call them thongs.
Yeah. Yes.
And I used to always take a person. Like I was like, no, I mean, have you ever seen David Beckham's toes? I mean, I've got the David Beckham's toes because my toes are just like these dark things. They're just
there.
and my missus loved them and she accepted them. And I was like, oh, Jesus, I accepted myself. So I accept a lot of stuff about my shortcomings and where I want to go.
Yes.
People, different people,
Yes.
different energies. And sometimes knowing and accepting the fact that I can't hang because we don't have the same
We're
energy.
not the same.
Yeah.
You know,
It's okay.
because I'm out here trying to pick up the, you know, when you're walking, like, we always talk about that Mario Brothers or people walking around with dollar signs and positive signs. And I take positive signs. If it's a negative, I'm not hanging with, but it doesn't mean that I've got something against it
No.
or whatever. It's just that it's not my calling. I'm not in the mix. So I accept people who don't like me. I accept people who like me. I accept anything that comes on towards or I give out.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's who I am, and I'm comfortable with that.
A gift, my friend. A gift. And I think where we say a gift, I appreciate not only that it's a gift, but I appreciate the cost of that gift.
Yeah.
Because you have to go through life.
Oh, yes.
To get that gift, you have to take it in the teeth so many times. You got to be reminded that people don't actually care.
No.
So many times.
Constantly.
So many times.
Constantly.
Gratitude.
Oh, I'm so grateful to have been born in this country. Like, I've lived overseas.
Yeah.
I've traveled. I've been fortunate enough to have had the talent to take me across the world, because I always think talent is your passport.
Yeah.
And people are supposed to take it like that. It's not just sports. It's not just entertainment. It's not just that. If you got a talent, that's your passport. There's not just one Trevor Noah in the world.
Facts.
In our country. And
there's two in this room.
You know what I mean? There's three.
in.
You know what I mean? To have, I'm like, when I think about where I'm from, what my fathers and my forefathers did, like the other day I was spending time with my cousin, and my cousin said, great grandfather bought a whole lot of land which still exists and is still under our name, is still under our clan, because he didn't want any of his offsprings ever, or this line ever work for anyone. And when I think of that, and I think to myself, I'm grateful that I come from great minds. I'm grateful that I come from people who thought like that in those times.
Yeah. Not everyone has that privilege.
No. And I look at it, I mean, my things might not be the same, because you know how families are.
Yeah.
It gets complicated. I've got gratitude for just the fact that I've got sporting ability, because for me, the only thing I don't want to do is kill the child inside me. And that's the one person I'm trying to protect constantly. And I'm grateful to have that, because it's important for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have sanity. I'm grateful for the fact that I can have people that can inspire me, encourage me. Like, for me to come here, I'm grateful for that, because you guys inspire me. I love your work ethic. I've always done from day one. I mean, I used to come and crash your parties. You used to always tell me to shut up, because I used to get excited and laugh. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't mean it in any way. I'm just excitable. I'm an excitable guy. And I'm grateful for the fact that you never saw it in any other way, and you just took me for who I am. The people that I meet every day, the mentors that I have, they've been good to me in the way that they might not say what I want to hear, but it's exactly what I need to hear.
Best people.
And just my family, to still have my two sisters, my mom, being a son of my father, and my older brother who passed away when he was still young. I'm a happy person, and I'm grateful about things that I get, and the chance to give, to help someone else, to create opportunities for other people. That is a privilege, and I'm grateful for it.
Whew. Final one.
Yeah.
Optimism. How optimistic are you about the future of Bobo?
Man, I'm one person who's like, 5, like right in the thick
Come
of
on.
it. We stay in the most beautiful country. You know what
In
I
the world.
love in the world. And what I love about our country is that we can get first world and third world and fifth world if you want.
Yes.
And that is fine.
In the same space.
Yes.
And that is fine. You know, there's a lot of things. Like, we used to travel and do the Super Rugby, and you used to get up to Australia, and in Sydney, there's about 20 ATMs standing there, and everyone is standing on one queue for one ATM. And I know in South Africa we'll have filled the whole place.
For sure.
You know, and I'm like, I love the fact that we jump lines and just do what we do. I love the fact that I can say, you know what, wait, can we talk about it? Can we negotiate about this? Do
you know how rich you have to be outside of South Africa in the first world
to
be able to say, can we
have a
talk
word,
about it?
to have a word with anybody about anything?
Your father is a duke.
You know,
You know what I mean? I'm talking. You got ugly money to be able to chat about it with a
so-
police officer.
So for me in South Africa, the fact that no matter what we thrown at, like electricity and all, I'm like, that's fine, man.
I lived in a cave.
I'm like, you know what I mean? I mean, what is that? You know what I mean? I look at it, all the challenges that we have. The best thing is that because we know who we are. I mean, you think about this country before 1994. You think about the 1986. I'm part of those kids, right? I'm just 79. So the 80s was like me budding up and trying to figure this thing out. And all of a sudden, you can't go into the Spur because Lach Blancas and then to now seeing this other side where now we can call each other out if you're not doing the right thing, doesn't matter what color or skin.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Bruh, and if you've traveled, you will realize that South Africa is the least racist country on earth at the moment.
Yes.
Like, you think South Africa is racist? You know, I always tell this story. Robbie Collins on stage in America. Somebody shouts out from the audience the N-word.
Yeah.
The audience does not
Even
react.
They like
The
that-
show carries on.
This is fine.
Yeah.
The show carries on. In fact, they were probably high-fiving that person.
You will never. do
Here,
that.
you'll move to Australia.
No,
you
never do
you
that.
drop a K-bomb at a show in South Africa, I can tell you now, as a comedian, I don't have to say anything. The audience, South
will let you know.
Africans. Then I always say, when you leave South Africa, then you'll see. Because there's no place on earth where you feel blacker than when you don't have a voice.
Yo.
Then when you can't put up your hand and say, I don't like the way I'm being spoken to.
Yo. When you are a proper minority.
And here, as shit as things could be perceived to be, believe me, we have a voice.
We and the best thing is that we still got so many opportunities. We got an opportunity to change everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that to me gives me energy. When I look at my kids and I'm like, oh, you guys are gonna have. I'm gonna try to make sure that the foundation that you guys get from my hands, at least you'll know that there's no time to be sleeping on the job.
No.
you know, and South Africa for me is one of the best places. Like I'm thoroughly love this place. I love the fact my name is Gcobani. I asked my mom. I was like, why did you guys name me this name?
What does Gcobani mean?
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. And then so she says, you know what? We wanted to name you Samora after the Samora Machel from Mozambique, former president. And I'm like, oh, I've been a different person. Because
Samora doesn't play rugby.
no,
right?
besides that gives me like a whole political
Yes.
mindset. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The name
yeah.
it's got energy.
It's got
Of
history.
course.
It's got things to do. for you.
Absolutely.
So he says, then your grandma said, you know, in the Bible there's a hymn that they sing. It's joy to the world, Gcobani umhlaba wonke. Joy
To the world.
to the world.
You
I love that. I love
thank you
that.
for living up to
Oof.
that name. Bra, it's always been a pleasure to know you. I still am a bit of a fanboy and try to always act natural when I see you and adult. But it has always been such a joy. We can't wait to see the next chapters of the legacy. And thank you. On behalf of South Africa, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to South Africa for making sure that we have these challenges so we can be these people.
Yeah.
Come on. All in, all day.
Oof. Just go and keep being amazing. It was. Yeah, I have goosebumps. Literal goosebumps.
Yeah, bro. And it's always when you least expect to find out somebody lived in a cave. You know what I mean? It's always this
Are you talking about this back here?
least expect. When you least
It was
expect.
interesting. There was a time I was like, no man, I can't be standing in the streets. I've got a talent.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, come on, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Those guys are eating?
It's that in comedy history, there's a story of Chris Rock.
Yeah.
In the early years, Rock started with all the Owens normally on the circuit, and was going, got a little bit popular, and just as he was about to pop,
Yeah.
Brad disappeared. 2 years, gone. Nobody knew where he was.
Wow.
Nobody knew what happened. Rock comes back after 2 years. Nobody can follow him. Nobody can go after him on
Because
stage.
he's just.
What he did was with the guys doing comedy and realized that if I'm just going to stay here, I'm so influenced by what they're saying. I'm so influenced by what they're doing. I'm so influenced by this whole thing.
True.
He left and booked himself tours by himself in the most racist parts of America back then.
And he just went in.
And he just performed by himself, didn't talk to the industry, didn't tell anybody where he was, didn't tell. At that time, there was no social media.
Yeah. I mean,
So, you know what I mean? If you're living within a 30
we didn't have that
kilometer radius-
VHS tape.
Yeah, it's in Chappelle's latest special says he misses those times because you could move 11 kilometers and start a new life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So true.
And start a new life.
Before you
But-
check in.
But when he came back, he was an unstoppable beast, and I still think he's eating off that momentum of from that decision. Because stepping
He's
away is the most
untamed.
difficult thing.
Yeah.
It's the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
Giving up your luxuries, giving up your lifestyle, giving up all of those things.
Yeah.
I think that thing holds most people back from exploring their
It
true
does.
potential.
And it makes you scared of what you have.
100%, because life
And what
took
you're
it away
capable
from me.
of.
Life put me in that position.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate by force.
Yeah.
You know what,
be in that
what I mean?
space.
Where circumstances put me into that
Yeah.
start over, lose everything, know what the bottom feels like.
Yes, but
So-
you're much happier now.
Much. Like when people say, that's why, I mean, in our previous recording, we had the question of what would you say to younger you? I always say, nothing. I would tell that bastard not a single thing. He needs to
Stand and
flop all those flops. No, but what do you mean you could have protected yourself from those? I'm like, no.
And it's
There's
like
a protected you doesn't end up here.
there's this other little youngster that I met, and he's like, well, would you fight like an 18-year-old? I was like, and I look at them thinking, an 18-year-old me, jeepers, that guy was nuts. Because I mean, just think about it. So when I was young, I played in the SA7 side when I was very young, and I was playing against guys like John Olomo.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're playing against a John Olomo, if you're playing against a Thao, if you're playing against a Tana Umanga, and those guys. And I remember this game, we're playing against Tana, and ball is coming out, and we got an overlap, and I'm like, and he's screaming, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. I'm going, give me the ball, I've got this, bitch. But that's a mindset you have to be on, because you can't be looking at it and thinking to yourself, because he's coming for you, right? So I'm thinking, that 18-year-old guy, I don't want to meet him. Because that guy
was afraid of
kill me.
nothing.
But that's
Nothing.
So the full story is, if I were to bump into 18-year-old Jason, I would hide behind the bush, because A, that was a cunt. He was a big cunt.
Yeah.
He was a big cunt. B, he thought he knew everything already. He'd tell me shit.
Oh,
He would say, look at you, you're bloody overlapping
You
stomach.
live-
You're trying to tell me.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, like sometimes like I get surprised, like people I grew up with, and I don't know, maybe since I was young, I had this sort of intuition of trying to learn and read things from people. And some people come to me and give me my own quotable back to me that I forgot. And they like, you told me this, and then, and I'm like, oh, so I am a vehicle, I'm the vessel, I'm not the owner of it.
It's I have this thing of, my thing is I like making people laugh.
Yeah.
So if I can make you laugh, I don't necessarily get a laugh today, but when I need a laugh, because I've made you smile, so I always use like, but tollgate operators are my favorite, and if you've long roaded with me, everyone will back me up. I must make you smile at least.
Yeah.
So then I go, if I make you smile, you make the next 5 cars smile.
True.
Your energy is different.
Yeah.
Then when I need a smile,
Yes.
that
Some
smile is
ways
gonna
gonna come
Pops
back.
out.
is gonna
Right.
come. And I promise you, I believe so hard in that. Just put out good energy.
It comes
Because
back.
when you need it, and it's exactly that. You gave good advice. We get so caught up,
Yeah.
and you forget your own. You
forget
block your
your own
own
stuff, and
you
it's
block
like-
stuff you know. Then you're like, oh shit.
If you ever, you know, like that changed I'm like, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that was
I don't
nice.
even remember
So
the
write that thing
conversation.
down.
How did
What did I say?
How did I say?
What was
it
I
again?
wearing?
All right.
Give me the temperature.
Damn. Yara, thank you, dog.
Nah, thank
That was-
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
No,
was just
this
so-
is why I'm saying like these are gonna be important for our kids to
Bruh.
learn and to know our thoughts and what we thought, because we might not be in spaces and time
Absolutely.
to tell them
No, dude,
things like this.
I'm so excited for your kids to stumble upon this in 20 years.
yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so
Dad,
excited
you lived in a cave.
because
You.
yeah. No, but I'm also excited for because what you said now, I'm excited for us to find it, because there'll be
Yeah.
stuff that we saying now that
Yeah.
we know that we live it,
Exactly.
that life will happen and it will dull those things.
Exactly.
Oh,
Will
can't wait.
sharpen us.
You need
too.
it.
Kate
Reminders.
actually started a thing that they did at a course. Was it Kate or Sean? Kate, that you send yourself an email,
Yeah.
but you predate it to only be delivered
Then.
in a year's time.
Yeah.
So every year,
Yeah.
out of nowhere, you get this email that tells you how you were feeling, what you were looking forward to,
Oh,
what you
wow.
were grateful for. And she was like, you'll be amazed that just in a year, how much those emails change, but also how refreshing it is. Because she says it's weird, but it always comes on her worst day, where
Alright.
she's so down
And then
needs some
and
inspiration.
then all pop.
Then you are your own motivator,
Oh.
which I thought was such a clever thing. But
I
anyway,
try to write a lot of notes down, and like when I'm feeling down, especially,
yeah.
I write stuff down of why and it's so funny because it's so therapeutic, but at the same time when I see it later on and it's dated because you know I know
Yeah,
it's-
100%.
and then you're like, gee, but I was going through the most.
Or I go, jeepers, I was going through the most. Oh, yeah, right, to worry about Kaka, man. Yeah, right, to let bullshit upset me.
Like, how can I?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, yes. Anyway, love you. Thank you.
Lovely.
Love you, lads.
Thank you.